How's it going, everybody? Well, the Green Bay Packers regular season is over. They fall to the Minnesota Vikings. Final score 16-3 in what was quite possibly the most boring game I've ever watched. It was basically kind of felt like a preseason game. The Green Bay Packers rested most of their starters. A lot of inactive guys. We'll go over the list. It really was just a boring game. It felt like a preseason game because the guys that were out there were second, third string guys. They weren't really, I don't think they were trying very hard. It just seemed like the game plan that Matt LaFleur had was just to go out there and just to get through the week and just to get ready for the playoffs, which is fine. It's fair. You're already locked in the 7th seed. This game didn't matter. But as a Packer fan, I would have liked to see some effort out on the field. Would have been nice. And I just didn't see that today. The defense, we'll go over all the stats. There were a couple highlights on the defense, especially Baron Sorrell played a very, very good game. Other than that, the Packers' special teams was the highlight of the game, which is crazy to say that the special teams was the high point. Daniel Whelan is my MVP for the game. He played great. But let's just go over it. The Green Bay Packers, like I said, they lose to the Vikings, end the regular season on a 4-game losing streak, and just kind of limping right into the playoffs. Obviously, Clayton Tune, he started today at quarterback. Malik Willis was inactive with a shoulder injury, and Jordan Love was slated as quarterback too. Like I said, the Packers rested pretty much most of their starters. The official inactives was Josh Jacobs, Malik Willis, Xavier McKinney, Coop, Quay, Zach Tom, and Dontavian Wicks. The injury bug did not go away for the Packers. At one point, Bo Melton went down, and then Javon Bullard went down. To which I started to wonder, as did many Packer fans, is why the hell is Javon Bullard out playing defense late in a game, a meaningless game, and now he's hurt. Why? What's the point of that? I don't know. Whatever. Like I said, this game didn't matter. Either way, the Packers were the 7th seed, but I would have liked to see some effort, and I didn't see that today. Getting into the stats, Clayton Tune, in his now 2nd start ever in the NFL, he was 6 of 11, 34 yards, sacked 4 times. He did have 23 rushing yards, which is nice. Clayton Tune, it seemed like the game plan was, like I said, just go out there, just get through the game. Clayton Tune was just to go out there, stay healthy, stay in the game. Don't let Jordan go out there behind a makeshift offensive line and get hurt. But, I mean, Tune played about as well as I figured he would, to be honest with you. I didn't expect him to throw the ball much. I didn't expect him to do anything. He didn't throw the ball much, and he didn't do anything. So, that's great. Chris Brooks led the team in rushing yards. He had 61 yards on 13 attempts. Emmanuel Wilson had 18 attempts for 44 yards. Emmanuel Wilson probably had what's going to be the most viral minute or moment of the game, where he had about a 20-yard loss. He should have just went down for about a 3 or 4-yard loss, but for some reason he started going backwards. And then he kept going backwards. And it was just bad. The leading receiver for the Green Bay Packers was Jacoby Keeney James. He had 2 receptions for 15 yards. So that's cool. That's cool. It was nice to see some of these second, third string guys, these practice squad guys out there, giving them a chance. I like to see that. We just didn't see much from them. And then the other second leading receiver was Matthew Golden. He had 1 reception for 8 yards. Josh Wiley, he had 1 reception for 4 yards. I did see a couple of plays where I did see Jaden Reed in there. It did seem like Christian Watson Romeo Dobbs, they were suited up, but they didn't. I think they might have just been fill-ins here and there. I don't think I saw Romeo or Christian out there, but I did see Jaden Reed out there very late in the game. Neither of them were targeted or anything. I do want to say this. Matthew Golden, obviously the expectations are very, very high. He's the Packers' first receiver taken since the early 2000s and the first round of the draft. A lot of expectations for him. Obviously underperformed to what we expected. Of course, I do think he'll have his time. He was dealing with injuries, and Adam Stenavich was saying in his press conference the other day that he'll get his time. It's just that they have a lot of guys in the wide receiver room that they want to move the ball around to. I understand that. And I do expect Golden to be a lot better next year. But of course, I can get into all that when I do a recap video for the Packers at the end of the season. Going over the defense, for the most part, they did what they did. I mean, they held the Minnesota Vikings to 16 points, which isn't bad. They look better. They kind of look better than they did against the Ravens, to be quite honest with you. Simpson, he led the team in tackles. He had 8. Baron Sorrell, like I said at the beginning of the video, he played spectacular. He had 8 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, and 1 fumble recovery. I thought he went out there, he balled out, he really took the opportunity. I'm very excited to see what the future holds for that young man. I think he's going to be special. We got to see Colin Oliver for the first time. He played well. Nothing too shiny, but it was nice to see him out there. Trayvon Diggs, we got to see him for the first time in a Packers uniform. He played pretty well. He had 3 total tackles, 2 targets. He had 1 forced incompletion, only allowed 4 yards, and allowed a passer rating of 45.2. So that's good. I like to see that. Of course, he's going up against J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer. He's not going up against, Caleb Williams or Jalen Hurts or something. But it was nice to see him out there getting some reps. Brent Cox Jr., he had a forced fumble on Max Brosmer when Max Brosmer kind of tripped over his center. Cox Jr. hit him, forced the fumble, and Byron Sorrell was able to recover that. Brandon McManus, he was 1 for 1, 34-yard field goal right at the end of the game, where the Vikings kind of allowed the Packers to get a mercy field goal. Matt LaFleur took a timeout with like 1 or 2 seconds left, just to try out McManus to spoil the shutout for the Vikings, which was kind of funny. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I'd like to see Clayton Tune throw it and try to get into the end zone a couple times, but, whatever. It's just to ruin the shutout. And my personal MVP of the game, Daniel Whelan. He had 8 punts, a 53.9 average. A 68-yard long punt was his longest. And he had 5 punts inside the 20. So Daniel Whelan, like I said, my MVP of the day. He played very well. I think he's one of the best punters in the NFL. But he played great. He did what he did. He did what he does all the time, which is just be a great punter. Briefly going over the stats for the purple incarnation of Satan. J.J. McCarthy, he was 14 of 23 for 182 yards. He left the game in, believe the late third quarter for a wrist injury. No sense in having him out there to get hurt even more. He can now take the rest of the offseason to heal up. And we'll see what J.J. McCarthy brings if he's healthy. See what he brings next season. Then Max Brosmer came in. He was 7 of 8 for 57 yards. He was sacked twice and had a fumble. Leading rusher for the Vikings was Jordan Mason. 14 attempts for 94 yards. Ham, he had a rushing touchdown. Aaron Jones did not play in this game. He was injured, so hopefully we'll see what his future holds, if he's going to retire and finally come home to the Packers where he belongs. Come home to Green Bay, Aaron. Come home. It's okay. We forgive you for going over to evil. You can come home now, Aaron. you can come home. So we'll see what his future holds. He didn't play. Justin Jefferson, he had 8 receptions for 101 yards. He crossed the 1,000-yard mark. He has now crossed the 1,000-yard mark in each of his first 6 seasons in the NFL. He joins Mike Evans and Randy Moss. So, congratulations, Justin Jefferson. Let's see here. Dallas Turner, he had 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Cashman, he had a sack. It seemed that Harrison Smith played his final game in the NFL. He hasn't, of course, made any announcement or anything, but 14 seasons, I believe, they said. So if that's it for him, I think he's a stud. He's good. And then the Vikings kicker, Ricard, he was 3 for 3, 4 field goals. Going over some brief team stats, the total time of possession, the Packers 26 minutes and 30 seconds, the Vikings 33 minutes and 30 seconds. Total first downs, the Packers had 12, the Vikings had 23. The Packers were 3 of 12 on third down, the Vikings were 2 of 10. On fourth down, the Packers did not go for it at all on fourth, and the Vikings were 1 for 1. The total yards, the Vikings had 363 total yards, compared to the Packers' 121. In the red zone, the Packers were 0 for 1. The red zone struggles continue. And the Vikings were 1 for 4. And then penalties, the Packers only had 4 penalties for 47 yards. And the Vikings had 2 penalties for 20 yards. Looking ahead, the Minnesota Vikings were, of course, eliminated from playoff contention, I believe 3 weeks ago. But they end their season on a 5-game winning streak. So something positive for the Vikings. Of course, I don't like anything positive for the Vikings, but it is what it is. They had their season on a high note. The Green Bay Packers finished their season 9-7-1. Not as good as the 12-5 that I predicted at the beginning of the year, but it is what it is. They end the season on a 4-game skid, and they will play the Bears next Saturday night, January 10th at 7 p.m. at Soldier Field for the wild card round. So we'll see what happens there. Another Saturday night game. I'm not a fan of Saturday night games. Of course, the Packers played in Chicago already on Saturday night a couple weeks ago. And they also played Chicago on Saturday at Lambeau too. So Chapter 3 of the Packers and Bears this year, another Saturday night game. I'm going to do a prediction videos. The prediction videos will come back for the playoffs, so I'll get into all my thoughts with the Packers and Bears and the entire wild card round as the playoffs now begin this next weekend. So I'll get into all that. I'm not too confident. If I'm going to give you a little spoiler alert, I'm not too confident about the Packers right now. But you never know, and I'll get into all that later this week. But Packers regular season is over. Obviously not what we had hoped. Not as well as what we thought. But it's like a new season starts now. Everybody kind of reverts back to 0-0. And, you never know what's going to happen. So the playoffs are upon us. The regular season's in the rear view mirror. So let's look ahead. I will see you guys later this week for wildcard predictions. Thanks for watching. Go Pack, go.